It's a Freestyle Friday here on the Soccer's Morning Show. Soccer down here, John here, you there. And we're getting you ready for the weekend. Got a couple of things going on this weekend in and of itself. Atlanta United taking on Memphis 901. That's going to happen tomorrow at 3. That's going to be simulcast on ATLUTD.com and a couple of their social media channels, so keep an eye out for that. And then after that match is over, 6 to 8, Creature Comforts in Athens. It's the post-game show with Cast of Thousands. Maddie's going to be there. Jason's going to be there. I'm going to be there. I think Tyler Pilgrim from Dirty South Soccer is going to be there. So we'll see how many folks we can shoehorn into Creature Comforts coming up this weekend on Saturday after Atlanta United gets their second preseason match under their belts. We'll talk about that in hour number 2, what your expectations are, other than hopefully everybody gets out of there healthy, no one gets injured. Anybody specifically you want to see more of? Who do you want to see in situations? We'll get into all that in hour number 2. So once again, if you can make it up there, if you got tickets as a season ticket holder, because I think the venue seat's like 4,500. It was fun a couple of years ago when we were up there again, when Georgia Revolution were playing Atlanta United, but now it's Memphis 901. Place is sold out. So come to Creature Comforts afterwards, 6 to 8. We'll have the post-game show there. Hour number 1, we're going to get into transfers. We're going to get into a couple of old faces and old names with news on Joseph and then what happened yesterday with Messi and friends. So we'll get into that in hour number 1. Hour number 2, like I said, we'll talk about Atlanta United. We've got a lot of the transfer news from yesterday. We'll talk about Duncan McGuire also, because that was back on. This is what happens when you don't have an afternoon drive. With everything going on in the transfer window, Duncan McGuire, it's off, it's on, it's off, it's on. And I feel like, Jerry Seinfeld. Why don't you pick a decision and stick with it? Something like that. So that's all we needed was Jerry Seinfeld discussing what happened yesterday with Duncan McGuire. And we'll get into that. And let's see, is there anything else? Obviously the news overseas. We got Ethan Horvath with a new home. Matt Turner is going to be challenged between the sticks for Nottingham Forest. We'll get into the biggest moves yesterday, get you ready for the weekend, all those kinds of things coming up in just a little bit. So anything on your mind, once again, when it comes to Atlanta United, what you hunting for, what you looking for, all those kinds of things. Morning, Alex. Morning, Dell. And morning, Tom. No real deadline day shockers, just some interesting placement. The Said Ben Rama deal is officially official. Lyon got mad at West Ham yesterday because it wasn't done by the deadline, but apparently they got paperwork in this morning. They were able to work through international trade certificates and things like that. So Said Ben Rama back on, and it looks like he's heading to Lyon. No real surprises. I think, honestly, the real surprise in all of this was that the amount of money that was actually spent, we got a lot of the loan deals, but there weren't a whole lot of purchases. And I want to say 15 to 20% of the amount that occurred last window happened in this window. So it was like at one point it was $630 million that had been spent. They'd only spent literally like $60 million in incomings. So you had a lot more loans this time. And you also had folks who were, they're staring at Everton. No offense, Tom. They're staring at Everton and Forest and trying to look at FFP and making sure that that they're not in violation of any of the new bylaws. So that you got a lot of folks who are keeping an eye on that too. So it was interesting to see the lack of activity yesterday. But then you had some folks that were doing some things, championship, lower divisions, those kinds of things. But, we'll go over that in hour number 2. And so we'll see what's going on. Just to get Maddie all hot under the collar. Maddie, by the way, Maddie Cruz on the 1s and 2s. Apparently this morning on Morning Footy on Golasso, Susanna Fuller, May Collins, is wearing Lady Electra. She is wearing Lady Electra. That's just going to get Maddie even more fired up. So, so she is truly fired. She's raging right now. When she comes in later, we will have her discuss what's going on. Where's hers? so this I did not know. Dell says Susanna married a former Battery player, Ian Fuller. Yes, PSR, yes. Profit and sustainability rules. Yes, PSR. Yes, it is PSR. It is the profit and sustainability rules when it comes to the 3-year rolling window. Yes, profit and sustainability rules, not FFP. Yes, to be technical, and we need to be technical. So, Maddie's hot that Susanna Collins is wearing. Susanna Fuller Collins, Nay Collins, is wearing the Lady Electra this morning on the Golasso Network. All right. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of us who are watching on Twitch or on the 280 character app or on our YouTube channel live. From our friends at Kickoff Coffee, once again, you kick off your day with them. Use that QR code. Use the code soccer down here 15. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives, cool stuff that they have earmarked that really needs assistance going forward. But once again, Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Use the code soccer down here 15. Once again, this is what happens once again when you don't have an afternoon drive show. And yesterday we were discussing the future of Juan Joseph Martinez. And we were saying that it looked like Barcelona Ecuador was the club that was getting the most interest. Vélez Sarsfield was interested as well. But yesterday, and the pictures came out from the airport in Montreal. So apparently it looked like there's a medical and the welcome for Joseph Martinez to CF Montreal and to be up top to help out Laurent Courtois in his first season there at CF Montreal. Interesting. Once again, we discussed yesterday that CF Montreal is starting their first 6 on the road, and it will be an interesting monitoring situation for Courtois and figuring out the health of Joseph Martinez. And what he can handle, what he can't. Can he give you 30? Can he give you, can he be that second striker? How many days in a row? How many matches in a row can he go? This will be one of Laurent Courtois' early tests at CF Montreal with Joseph Martinez up top. What can he give you? And that's the biggest question. So that will be very, very interesting to see how Joseph integrates. Remember. For those of us with memories, and some of us have to actually write things down, the match at Stade Saputo where Joseph and Victor Wanyama almost they got into it in the tunnel. You remember that? They're now teammates. So Victor Wanyama and Joseph Martinez, who went after each other in the tunnel at Stade Saputo, they are now teammates in Montreal. So we will see what goes on there with Joseph and CF Montreal. The supporters met him at the airport, and I guess they were doing their fair share of flight aware as well, tracking planes and things like that. Found Joseph at the airport, and there are the photos with Joseph with the scarf around his neck from the fans, all that kind of stuff. So, morning, Abby. So it looks like Joseph has a new home in Montreal. Just keep him away from Victor Wanyama. The other element from this morning has to do with what happened yesterday in Saudi Arabia, in the activity that is going on, the 100,000-mile frequent flyer challenge with Messi and friends. So yesterday, very, very early, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we had a lot of folks who were trying to figure out possibly how to watch said match. I did not. Full disclosure, I did not watch the match yesterday. But it was not that good. Al Nassr knocks off Messi and friends by the final of 6-0 at Kingdom Arena. 6-0. 6. More than 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. I feel like I should be Stone Cold Steve Austin here. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6. Lionel Messi came in late We think that has to do with the contractual obligations of the deal. You might not have been getting the full appearance fee had Lionel Messi not been there. More on that in a minute. So Otavio scores in the third. 2 more in 3 minutes. Talisca and Aymeric Laporte. Those of us who follow the Premier League know about Laporte. And Laporte's was a long-range effort from his own half. Looked like it was about from 70. Drake Callender was off his line. Laporte saw something. He launched. It went in. It was 3. Talisca scored twice in the final 45. Moran gets his name in the sheet. 3, 10, 12, 51, 68. Talisca was a PK in the 51st. Mohamed Moran in the 68th. Talisca in the 73rd. Callender, Jordi Alba, Noah Allen, Kritsov, who apparently just got the knock. It was not any injury of serious note. Aviles, Gressel, Ruiz, Busquets, Gregory, Campana, Luis Suarez. That was your starting lineup. Going up against a couple of dudes that hardcore international fans won't remember. David Ospina in net, Laporte, Alex Telles, Marcelo Brozovic. A couple of dudes that you would know from Al Nassr. No CR38. Lionel Messi was a late punch in, I want to say with like 7 minutes to go. And next up for Messi and friends is against a team in Hong Kong. Not today, so let's see. Today's the 2nd, so Sunday. Sunday morning, 3 a.m. Eastern time, which means the audience will be substantial. Sunday morning, 3 a.m. It's going to be going up against a team in Hong Kong. So there you go. That's the next one. But I bring this up for this reason. After the match, you always have your post-match question and answer session. And the individual who I guess was tasked in a 6-0 loss to answer questions about what happened was Julian Gressel. And Julian Gressel, after the match, saith the following. That Lionel Messi, well, it's let me get into Leo Paradiso because I want to get this right. But basically, it came down to discussions where Julian Gressel was the one who was saying that Lionel Messi had a flexor muscle issue. That he received it, and there was a reason that he was not going to be that he was not going to be discussing things. So you end up with Julian Gressel answering questions about Lionel Messi. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. Just saying. When you have an individual who is talking about his teammates and talking about one of them being Lionel Messi, he had a flexor muscle issue if he plays due to the contractual situation with Al Nassr. 36, 3 matches in a week, that kind of thing. But Julian was the one who was answering the questions yesterday about the injuries in the post-match. I don't quite think that that's going to be happening in the near future. This may very well have been one of the first and last times that you're going to be discussing these kinds of things in open theater. So yeah, when you have players discussing injuries of other players on preseason tours of the planet, I don't think necessarily that there's going to be stuff that you're going to want to divulge. Like I said, just saying. So Messi was on the bench, played 7 minutes. But, yeah, so Julian Gressel was the one who got to tell folks that Lionel Messi had the flexor injury. So there you go. Yeah, and Tom, this was what we mentioned yesterday. Lewis Hamilton was probably the biggest transfer news of yesterday. That was the biggest transfer news. It legitimately was. So that to me, I think, was probably the biggest element of all of this. That you end up with, sir, a situation like that. Yeah. So Lewis Hamilton was the biggest transfer yesterday, and yeah. So Ferrari, they'll find a way to screw it up. I think we can guarantee it. I think we can guarantee that that there will be a way that it will be screwed up. Like I said, that's me just talking. Dell, Julian understands that if you don't want to do something, do it poorly, and they won't ask you to do it again. Just like I do with my wife, right? Until 25, yeah, it's until 2025. But still, it's like, sir, could you please not discuss this? Yeah, just don't talk about your other teammates. Just don't do that. Don't. Do not. And so this might have been one of the few times that Julian Gressel might be doing post-game this season. That's your opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch and on YouTube and on the 280-character app. And we would like to specifically thank our friends at Kickoff Coffee for being great friends and great sponsors here with SDH. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, roll it over into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and at kickoffcoffeeco.com. Duncan McGuire. And we talked about Duncan McGuire yesterday. Apparently, I guess this is why you spend the night in hotels. This is why you spend the night in hotels in Sheffield, England, because the deals get done. And Duncan McGuire got to hang out in a Sheffield hotel room and get signed by Blackburn Rovers. After all of that chaos, he ends up getting signed. So we'd like to welcome Duncan McGuire to transfer deadline day and all of the madness that's associated with it. And after it happened, I'm just gonna phrase it this way. Bless Blackburn's heart, because they tried to do the videos that we see with the teams doing the team the nebulous player introduction where you don't see players' face until the end, and then you get the big reveal, and it's like, look who they signed. Blackburn tried it. Bless their hearts. And it has to do with let me see how they phrased it, because I want to get this. I want to get it right, and it has to do with it has to do with the basketball pun from our friends at Rovers, and Going to scroll down for the video and see. Okay, so 15 hours ago, you've got Duncan McGuire with the picture, with the smiley face in the jersey, with the pen being held in his hand as he's like writing into a wire-bound notebook. They did the video of the smiling, and then you get the 12 or 13-second video of spinning a soccer ball on your finger and then dunking dunking the soccer ball into a child's basketball hoop. Time for a slam dunk. DUNC, question mark. So, yeah, 13, 14-second video. Gee, we didn't know what was coming. But, just bless their hearts, they were working on it. Bless their hearts. So they were working on that too. So good on them for trying. And so it was close. And yes, Del, we'll get into what happened yesterday. Manchester United, the craziness, the 4-3. Drew Dickinson cut his 3D. So Prem and Proper will be coming up later today. And we'll discuss everything that happened midweek, get you ready for the weekend, and all of the sound that is associated with it. But, yeah, the 4-3 craziness that was going on with Manchester United and Wolves. 90+5 to tie it, 90+7 to win it. Kobe Mainu. And I just had this vision of Drew in my head losing his mind wherever he was watching the match and maybe throwing papers skyward, things like that. But, yeah, it was absolutely crazy. Dell wants to know, can we talk what happened after the whistle? Sergio Busquets berating the official before Tata took over. I think it was about the 6 minutes of stoppage time. I mean, I could, literally in a preseason friendly, Dell, I could see it's like, bruh, it's 6-0. Just get it over with. I could see that. Absolutely. And I mean, like I said, it's the 100,000-mile challenge for Messi and friends. It's like, bro, we got a plane to catch. We got to get to Hong Kong before we play Vissel Kobe and before we come back and play Newell's. You're down 6-0. Game's over. I could understand it, but, let Tata do that. I know that Sergio Busquets can, jump in and start yelling at folks, but I get it. I truly get it. 6-0, game's out of control. Just blow the whistle. Just, throw the damn towel. That's it. I completely understand Sergio Busquets and all of that. Trust me. Yes, Tom. Bet the over in every Miami match this season. Bet the over. Take the over. I don't care. We can get into an in-depth Messi and friends discussion coming up just on the idea of, bruh, what in the wide world of sports is going on with you people? So this just take the over. Take the over, take the over, take the over. Oh, my God, take the over in every Miami match. Emilio about Joseph. Curious about Joseph's salary. Don't know if it's DP or don't know if it's DP or if it's a high TAM or what. Have not seen anything. I don't think we've seen anything official out of CF Montreal about it. So if we hit the magic button, they've done a bunch of bienvenus. Matias Coccaro, I think today was supposed to be the idea that he would come in. Yesterday was supposed to go into a physical, and then they'd have the signing in the paper and all that kind of stuff. So, we'll see what happens there, but do not know the salaries of what is going on, perhaps in Montreal. And it's that time where at 9:30 on our Friday mornings, we get the chance to either discuss things with Greg Garza and Beyond Goals Mentoring, or we catch up with our mogul in training and get to find out how things are going at Rhode Island FC, among other places. And if I've downloaded things correctly, we might even actually have a bit of a surprise for our guest coming up in short order. And we get to find out how many cups of coffee he's had, all this kind of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and bring the man in. And it's time for the Mogul in Training, Michael Parkhurst. Righty.
Buenos dias.
Oh, first off, have you gotten a package yet from Office HD? There it is.
There we go, baby.
There it is.
Thank you very much, senor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Figured you would enjoy
new reading material.
Yeah, got your storytelling from some weird dude that wants to write occasionally and write a book. I still think you got a book in you, sir. I really do.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I'm not saying no. We'll see.
Well, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be about, it doesn't necessarily have to be about, life in Major League Soccer. It could be about mentoring and, anything that's on your mind, or taking both and blending it into a book. I think your experiences in Major League Soccer and everything that you're doing now with Beyond Goals, I think that you could blend that into an all-encompassing novel, sir, that folks would be flocking to Barnes & Noble to buy, or to Amazon to purchase electronically.
You've got the vision, huh, John? You've got the vision.
Well, I've written 6 books, so it's like, yeah, I think wow. Everyone, legitimately, I think everyone has a book in them. I feel, like the dude on CBS this morning who says everybody's got a story. Steve Hartman. It's like he goes into a town, goes to a phone booth, finds the phone book, literally just randomly opens a page, goes like that, goes and talks to that person, and finds out their story. I think everybody's got a book in them. Same way.
Well, that's true. Everybody's gone through their journey, and everybody's got that unique perspective on life and what they've been through. So yeah, for sure.
Okay. So then let me ask you this, and we could also include the whole idea about building a franchise. So how is Rhode Island FC? And now that you're into training camps and matches and things, how is life with the Mogul in Training?
Coming together. Team's doing well. They've been training indoors up in Rhode Island mostly. They've gotten outdoor a couple times, but mostly indoors. I think they head down to IMG tomorrow or Sunday, maybe. One of those two. They'll be down in IMG for a couple of weeks and training down there. I was going to hope to try and get down there next weekend. Yeah, next weekend, but no go.
What?
A late softball tournament we added, so priorities.
So now, is this one where you will be participating, or one where you will be a rooting interest?
Rooting interest, yes. I don't participate in sports outside of golf.
So all right. When was the last time you got in around the golf?
Way too long. Probably early November, late October.
Okay, so it was when you were driving to the course when we were talking on the show.
Actually, that's not right. That's not true. I played once when I came down for the Thanksgiving tournament, for the Thanksgiving camp that I do every year with some of the other guys. I played that Sunday with Mr. Mark Bloom in Atlanta.
And what? So how's Bloomy?
He's great. Yeah, he's doing really well. He's got the financial gig going on, and he's crushing it. And no surprise, he's doing really well.
Excellent. Our friend Dell, who's down in Charleston, says that you don't have time to write a book. You got to figure out how you're going to beat the Charleston Battery. So Dell's getting his shot in this morning.
He is. He's had his coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. They're going to be a tough out for us. That's for sure. Reigning conference champions.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So in everything that's going on, it's the beginning. We talk about how things are with Rhode Island FC and how, everybody's now in camp and everything. How much of an adjustment was it for you, first and foremost, as an athlete, to go from off season and go, oh crap, I've got to get back to training camp? How much prep did you as an athlete give yourself to make sure that you were as ready as you could be for those first steps in training camp? How much prep did you give yourself? How much runway?
Yeah, it was more so like, how much time did you give yourself off?
Okay.
And that was like, depending on how long the season went and things like that. But usually it was only like, I don't know, a week to 10 days, and then you start running again. I didn't touch a ball much in off season. Usually I was somewhere close. When I was in Atlanta, I'm trying to think. I went in and did my workout. So yeah, maybe we touched the ball a little bit, but I really wasn't concerned much about touching a ball. It was more just the fitness aspect and staying sharp and taking care of the body and that type of thing. And this was like later in my career. Yeah, so it was only like a week, 10 days max taking off, and then slowly getting back into it. Not full 4 or 5 days a week but 2 to 3 days a week.
So are you telling your mentees the same message? It's like, look, season's over, don't touch a ball, or the messages different for each mentee? It's like, okay, knowing you and knowing the kind of individual that you are, I'll tell you X. Knowing this other mentee and the individual that you are, I'll tell you something different. Is it the message different, or is it blanket like, look, bruh, season's over, don't touch a ball, get away, go detach, go do something, go have fun?
Yeah, it's really individual dependent. And there are some kids that need a break, and hey, go play a different sport, right? You can get fitness in playing different sports and being active. And there's other kids on their age and things, they need to work on some things in off season, and that gives them the time to do it. Assuming that their body is good. It's such a balance. Greg was talking the other day. We did, excuse me. We did a high school talk the other day, and Greg was talking about he had throughout his career, and he made a mention of like maybe specialization in sport from a younger age, and it got me thinking, like, yeah, I, knock on wood. Pardon me for a second.
Please go hydrate, sir. Yes, clear your throat and hydrate. Yes, there you go. Oh, see, the bell jar of hydration. That is major.
This is how you stay hydrated. Get one of these big guys and make sure you fill it up. But he was talking about all of his injuries and how, maybe it was because he just played so much soccer and only soccer for a long time and everything. And I'm thinking, like, I had very few injuries. I missed games for one muscle injury career. And yes, I took very good care of my body and did a lot of things to help in that regard, which definitely helped. But it's also possible that maybe it's because I was playing different sports, different time of the year, and I wasn't just playing soccer, that maybe that helped my body be able to last as long as it did. So, I tell my athletes, hey, especially depending on what age they are, go do something else, have fun, relax, enjoy yourself. Other kids, hey, yeah, you can still work on something here and there, but time away is important, and knowing how much time you need to take away is important as well, for mental and physical recovery.
No, well, being the cerebral assassin that you are, and that we know that you are, is it the younger ones that you tell, when you mentioned different age groups doing different things? Is it the younger ones that you tell to do different sports, or do you tell the older ones by nature to do different sports? Who gets those conversations?
Usually younger. It's difficult. I get it when you're over probably 13, maybe even 12, to play multiple sports. It's just the way it is these days, especially down there where you can play outdoors basically year round. They just don't have much time to play other sports and do other things, which is a shame, but I get it. So it's challenging. So yeah, mostly the younger kids. That doesn't mean the older kids can't do stuff to keep their fitness up. They can play pickup basketball. They can go swimming. They can go hiking. They can do other things besides just, running around a soccer field to get some fitness up.
So Abby wants to know, what other sports did you enjoy playing when you were a young, impressionable soccer player?
Oh, baseball was the first love for sure. I loved baseball. Grew up a huge Red Sox fan.
I'm sorry.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be, John. When I was in college, we had some great years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, before that, it was a little rough. But yeah, baseball was my love, and still is. I still love baseball. I'm thankful my son plays and my daughter. But I played a little bit of basketball for the school, and did swimming. Played tennis camps every summer with my sister. So yeah, I got as much in as I could, but that was what I stuck to.
Well, and to your point, I think that having all of those different things that you do, whether it's hoops or baseball or tennis, I mean, it keeps, I would imagine it keeps your brain fresh. It's like, okay, I'm not spending 24/7, 365 on soccer. I can do other things, and I can kind of put it to the side a little bit. I can work some different muscle groups. I can enjoy with doing different things. And it adds to that whole dynamic of understanding how other athletes can respond in situations like that. I get the idea of wanting to not dive in as much as you love soccer and it was your number one, just to kind of step aside a little bit and go, okay, well, hey, let's go and do something over here. I get that. How many is there a generational understanding? It's like, yeah, you can separate yourself from it. Yeah, it's cool to have this as your number one. But is there, like generational disconnects and things like that? Do they get it when you have these conversations? Does a light come on and they go, oh, yeah, I see where you're coming from? Or is it more like, is it more just an understanding of, yeah, okay, I know it can help me? Or is there genuine enthusiasm there?
Understanding, but it's out of reality, I guess, for a lot of people. And I understand it because it's really difficult the way now, if you want to play, like if you play recreational, which is great, you can play multiple sports, right? Because that's seasonal, right? You can do all your different sports in every season, and it's fantastic. The downside is obviously sometimes in recreational, you get the kids that have never played that sport before, who are 10 and 11 and or whatever, and it's great that they're introduced. If you're competitive and been playing for 5-6 years, and then you need to play club. And once you start getting into the club atmosphere, it's like, this is a lot, and it's year round. So much, there's very few intermediate, like between rec and fierce club. That space is lacking a little bit, to where, hey, yeah, I want to play at a higher level. Also want to play other sports throughout the year. And I don't know if it exists out there, if people are finding it. But from my experience with my kids, it was challenging. I mean, even when we were still living in Atlanta, and my son was what, 8 or 9, we were just like going straight from NASA soccer over to baseball, twice a week, and then deciding on games, and coaches say, yeah, we're fine with kids playing multiple sports. Well, yeah, they're fine with it until they hear, hey, I won't be at the game because we're going to baseball or we're going to soccer, right? And then not so fine. So I understand it from the parent perspective. It's virtually impossible.
Well, and then I would imagine, and this is something that we all face, is that the peer pressure that's attached to it, where if you're not, if you enjoy playing it, but you're not really, that good with your teammates, and then it's like, well, why is he here? Why are you here? You're not that good. Why are you here? I'm here to enjoy myself. I would imagine that you still get the ringing in your ear from your peers if you're, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about all of the bad stuff that could keep you from doing those kinds of things too.
Totally. Absolutely. And I think people don't realize that playing other sports can still make you better in your primary sport, right? Like, playing basketball will improve your jumping ability, right? Your timing on jumping, which will help you in soccer, right? There's obviously a lot of aerial challenges in soccer, right? And the timing of jumping and the battling and using your body in that regard, and just the ability to just jump higher when you're doing it more often helps, right? So that's one little thing on the baseball field. I'm always thinking, what am I going to do with the ball when it comes to me? And then when I get on the soccer field, I was thinking the same exact thing, right? There's so many examples of you can still get better in your sport by playing different sports. It just helps you, and just the competitiveness. Boxing out, exactly. So that, yes, there's so many different things. And to answer a couple of questions, yes, of course, I've been to the Green Monster. I've never sat on top of the Green Monster, which I need to do someday.
You've never sat on top of the monster? Come on, Packy.
When I went, maybe there was seats there. It's been a while since I've been. We did get to a World Series game. It was cold as hell, playing the Colorado Rockies. That was when I was playing for the Revs back in the day. And I've never run a half marathon or a marathon, or do I ever expect that I will in the future.
There you go. That's the man right there. I mean, because I know that there are athletes who are diehards and they want to challenge themselves and those kinds of things, but I would just imagine that the pounding that you take when you're playing soccer is one thing, and then you want to add the pounding of either 13.1 or 26.2 or the triathlon and all those kinds of things. I would just think that the pounding that you take, physical and mental, would kind of steer soccer players away from doing that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I really dislike running on concrete. Yeah. I mean, you can take away on concrete from that sentence and that still fits, but running on concrete is even.
Oh man. No, I'm right there with you. The whole running period. Running on concrete, one thing, yeah. No.
Mm-hmm.
Running period. No. I'm right there with you. You mentioned your time with the Revs. Now I'm gonna see if this works. And this is me in technology, so anything is possible. We were in Birmingham on Saturday night for the preseason opener for Atlanta United, and they were playing a team called the Birmingham Legion. And you might know somebody from your past who is now another front office dude, and he's down there in Birmingham. And I know this will shock you, but when he had his appearance on the post-game show with us at SDH, somebody asked him for his favorite Michael Parkhurst story about the time that you were together in New England. And let me see if this actually functions, and we will play it here and see what the story actually was. Heard on the SDH post-game show, some dude named Jay Heap.
Yeah, what's a good Michael Parkhurst story? Because I think next Friday at 9:30 Eastern, he's on the show.
Okay.
So what's a good Michael Parkhurst story that we can shock him with?
Since
he's a mogul in training up there in Rhode Island.
This is so good. All right, first one. Have you ever seen his first goal? It might have been his only goal, but his first goal as a professional, he scored from half field.
I did
at
see
Toronto.
This. Oh yeah.
And by the way, I kid you not, I run over to him because I didn't know Parky could kick a ball that far, because he never kicked the ball over 10 yards. He would just pass it. I was like, Parky, I was right next to him, like, Parky, you need to kick it further up the field because you keep putting the ball good passes to me, but I'm not as good as you. I need to clear it. But so that was the first I've ever seen him kick a ball. And when he shot it, I literally was like, no, and it just went right in. But no, Parky is one of the great human beings in any sport. I actually tried when he came back in. He went to Columbus. I tried like hell to get him to go to New England. It couldn't get him there because he didn't want to play on the turf in New England. Yeah. So he went to Columbus. But man, what a great guy! I love him. He's a great guy.
We're going to hold that story for Friday next time when he.
Yeah, see, there you go. So that is your Jay Heap story about Michael Parkhurst.
Yeah, Jay's a great guy. He was one of the many veterans in the locker room when I showed up there in New England. And yeah, I don't know if I've mentioned on this show, but he helped me a lot when I was getting into USL. Gave him a bunch of times to ask him about his experience and being the president and, soccer experience versus front office experience and his getting used to that and everything and his experience down there in Birmingham. And yeah, he's right. He was the coach of New England, and I was coming back from Europe. New England still owned my rights. And AJ, I love you, man, but I'm not coming back here right now. So
You
but
mentioned
he's awesome.
Yeah, you mentioned those conversations that you have with Jay about, when you were getting into USL. Is it about all of the behind the scenes stuff? I mean, how, without telling any state secrets, unless you want to and break some news, when you have those conversations about building a franchise, is it basic infrastructure stuff? I mean, is it like the real basic stage one, day one, how do we do this build kind of a thing? Or is it more three-dimensional stuff when you have these conversations with Jay?
Yeah, I was just asking him, like, he's president down there. I think maybe his title is president and GM. He's definitely president.
Yeah. He's both.
And so, we were in the very early process of everything. Obviously, I had asked him about Kano and what he thought of Kano as a coach and everything. And but then past that, I was like, hey, we're going to have somebody in a dual role, whether it's coach GM or president GM. And I said, when you look in you're a president that came from the soccer world without the business side of things. So you had a game, but no experience really in business, versus you can get a president that comes from the business world, but's got no experience in soccer. And I was just asking him, like, how did it work for you? Was it okay to get used to? Do you see that? Would you recommend that we get somebody from the business world and teach them the soccer world, or vice versa? Just from his experience of, like, seeing things of other clubs versus his own experience, and kind of what with him and their training ground and their facility, how they allocate money. And it's like, there's so many different buckets. Not as crazy as MLS, but housing is a big one in USL, and just budget stuff. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions and stuff, and he was always willing to answer anything I asked.
See, now nothing like being a mentee all over again with a mogul and mentor with Jay Heaps. It's totally. Everything comes somewhat full circle in all these kinds of things. Couple of random questions in the minutes that we have left with you. Dell wants to know, since you spent time in Europe, what team or teams do you support in Europe, and do you watch a lot of soccer?
I watch a good amount, not a ton, but a good amount. So I try and catch a couple games on the weekend, and I do watch a lot of MLS. I watch more MLS than I do European soccer. I'll say that. And there's no specific European team. I know it's crazy, but just didn't really grow up with one. Manchester United was the one that was always on TV back then. And I liked Ryan Giggs until a certain time period.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so yeah, I don't really support a European team. I follow guys that I know, and national team guys or guys that I played with or something like that. But otherwise, Nordsjælland, who I played for over in Denmark, I follow them, and Copenhagen when they're playing in Champions League, things like. Other than that, nope, just watching a watch.
When it comes to transfer deadline day, which is something that it's a national holiday for those who observe, and how nerve-wracking is it, and was it, when the possibility of players, whether you were overseas at Nordsjælland or what have you, in the environments that you've been in, when it came to transfer deadline days, what was it like in a locker room, knowing that you could either be adding teammates on the fly or losing teammates on the fly? How nerve-wracking were these transfer deadline days in your career?
Not really. In my experience, nothing crazy. Nordsjælland now transfers a lot of players, like especially with their right to dream connection with Ghana. They're getting a lot of players and talent, and they're transferring a lot of players. When I was there, we transferred a couple players in the 4 years I was there, but it was nothing crazy. So, and then in Augsburg, I didn't care coming or going. Like, this didn't affect me at all.
Right.
You know, and at MLS, I couldn't even tell you what the deadlines are. You know, the biggest deadline in MLS, especially in my career, was the date that, and I forget the date, but you guaranteed contracts where it was like you were guaranteed until like June or something, but they could cut you then. And so a lot of guys were stressed out about that moment. You know, not so much getting transferred, but getting cut. So that was the bigger day in MLS back in the day for sure.
Yeah, because the reason I ask is because of now where MLS is and where USL Championship is, frankly, because of what we're seeing with some of the other clubs, you know, Orange County, Lou City, where they're moving players on with their development. You get a situation like we did with Duncan McGuire yesterday and over the last 2 days where the purple team agrees to a deal with Blackburn. And I tried to introduce folks to the ownership group of Blackburn Rovers and explain to them that they are like chicken magnets. They're kind of like Tyson's. And when they were being relegated from the Premier League, the fans at Blackburn were so mad that they smuggled live chickens into Ewood and released them onto the field. That's how mad they got about Blackburn. So Blackburn agrees to this deal with Duncan McGuire and the purple team, 4 + 2.5. He's flying over, and apparently, I don't know if he had in-flight Wi-Fi or not, or if his phone was on airplane mode. But somewhere on the flight over, the deal went in the toilet, and so he's in a Sheffield, England hotel waiting for a deal to happen. His mom discontinues, like unfollows everything Blackburn, and that's not me, by the way. And the deal finally goes through as he's sitting in a Sheffield hotel. That's why I was like, didn't know if you had experienced anything like that kind of madness or just got to watch like the rest of us yesterday and go, damn, man, that is not cool.
I do remember when I was playing for the Revolution, we had some deadline deals kind of go through where Shalry Joseph and Taylor Twellman both were wanted by European clubs, and they wanted to go, but I don't know if it was the Revolution or MLS or whatever didn't want to sell them, or I don't know what happened, but they didn't end up going. But those were two big ones.
Okay. So before you go, what's the latest with Beyond Goals? What are you up to? What are you and Greg doing when it comes to conquering the planet?
Doing a bunch of high school right now. So they're gearing up for their seasons, which some of them are starting today, I think, high school seasons. So we were talking to McEachern and North Cobb, and I think we've got Galloway on Monday. A couple others.
The Galloway School, yes.
So that's busy for right now. For the most part. While we figure out a time where I can get down there and meet up with Atlanta United and go to some of their meet up with them, and so the academy, that is.
Excellent. Del,
and yes, Del, I love living in Denmark. It was fantastic. Great people, great country. Really expensive. That was the downside. But loved Copenhagen. Awesome city. Can't wait to take kids back. They were born there, so need to show.
Well, as always, my friend, it's great to catch up with you. I'm glad the special delivery made it. And when you have 7 seconds to your life, when you actually get the chance to breathe, then enjoy. And once again, thanks for being receptive to adding something to your bookcase. As always, Michael Parkhurst at MF Parkhurst on the 280 character app, and BG Mentoring as well. Thanks for joining us for the Friday Free Kick. We'll catch up with you in a couple weeks because your season at Rhode Island FC getting closer and closer, and we're going to ask you more about that as things continue to get close, my friend. Be well and have a safe weekend.
Thank you. Same to you all. Have a great weekend.
There we go. That's Michael Parkhurst. He's a cool dude, and it's great to have him come on and catch up with him about everything that's going on there. I know that sometimes our conversations kind of go away from mentoring, but I think the longer, the 3-dimensional picture, I think, is important sometimes. And it's great to see how he can go and spin things one way or the other. So there we go. All right. So if this is in fact the case, I'm going to bring in Maddie here, and we will discuss what's going on. So you Maddie Cruz in charge of the 1s and 2s. So the Atlanta United fan in you was freaking out there with Parky coming on.
Yeah. Are you kidding? It's Michael Parkhurst. Like it's funny too because I remember when you guys told me when I first joined, they're like, yeah, we have Garza and Michael Parkhurst, and I was like, huh? I was like, you can't just drop that casually. I grew up, I feel like I'm a broken record about this, but I was at the inaugural match. I watched both of them throughout the entire first season and into the second season when we won the MLS Cup. It's so crazy. I thought Michael Parkhurst was a great captain, and I follow him through a lot of other stuff that he's been doing. So it was fun. The little fangirl in me was it was a lot of fun. It was great. It was so fun.
That's always. Thank you for pulling the Jay Heap story, because those are fun to be able to shock people with when it comes to all these kinds of things. But okay, so Alex Pacine has a question.
Okay.
That is absolutely mandatory here.
All right.
He wants to know: is it Madison, Maddie, or Maddie with a Y? I don't want to do it wrong.
Oh, absolutely. It's Madison is correct. It's Maddie.
Yes.
Yeah. I know many other people do it different ways, but I do it Maddie because I don't know. I think it looks better.
Yeah, and it's a little longer.
It's a little longer, and it just looks it looks good. But I honestly don't care either way. It's kind of the same thing. If I read Maddie, I'm like, I know what you're talking about. So yeah, I don't. And also, Dell, to answer your question, no, I have not gotten my jersey, and I'm still upset about it. Still have not gotten it. Jay Heaps, if you're listening, what do I need to do to get the jersey?
Susanna got hers. Maddie's looking for hers. What's the deal here?
Okay, you said that, and I was like, okay, so where's mine? I was like, is it coming in? Is it coming in my mail? Am I going to see it very soon? I guess not. I guess I'm not going to get it. I was lied to by Jay Heaps. Lied.
He's pacing himself. Four Card posts the picture that was released last night after dinner with Joseph in Montreal, and we're not going to post the photo because while the sentiment might be received, it would get us. The picture would get us an explicit rating this morning. So,
oh gosh.
Yes, the picture would get us an explicit rating because some of the SGs and some of the hardcore supporters met Joseph at the airport, presented him with a couple of scarves, and one of them, the one that is front and center, that Four Card has linked to our friends at Canadian Soccer Talk at Can Football Talk on the Twitters. Yeah. Basically, it says F Toronto, but it goes a little longer than F.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's one of the scarves from the fans at CF Montreal, never to be impact at any time soon. So, yeah, the picture would get us an explicit rating, so we're not going to show it. But
no.
Sentiment might be common from both Atlanta and Montreal, but we can't quite show you the scarf because of the scarf and the consonants that are attached to it. So we can't.
So I guess that goes to question, since we're playing them in that preseason match, our first one in Tampa, is he going to be on that roster? Are we going to get to see that?
Well, the first thing is that he's got a sign on the line, which is dotted. He was up there for a physical, and the club has not said anything official, but folks at the airport saw Joseph at the airport and met Joseph at the airport as he was picking up his luggage. So we are still waiting for the officially official signing on the line, which is dotted. Yeah. Don't know if, and Emilio asked the question in hour number one, would he be a DP or would he be high TAM? And don't know. And
I don't know either. I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm not good with all the TAM and DP stuff. That is not my area of expertise. Was he a DP in Miami? No,
Yeah.
he was. Okay.
Yeah. So you're looking at DP here, and he had to be DP money and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But go for it.
Does Montreal have how many slots do they have left to fill with that? Do we know really or not really?
Yeah,
Because I guess that would kind of pan in the question of if they have enough room to put in another DP, or if it then reach itself to being, or he's going to be high TAM.
Yeah, let's see. MLS designated players. Let's see what the current listing is.
Because I believe the limit is 3 for each team. Correct?
Yeah, it's 3 DPs, and then you can.
I knew I was right about that.
All right. So DPs. And so the deep dive that was done late in the season did they do it as Chicago CF? No, they did it as Montreal. So I have to do this alphabetically.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I have to go all the way down to they go Miami and Minnesota and Montreal. Okay, they only had the one DP, and it's Victor.
Oh, okay.
So there was, available, and this was like trade deadline stuff at the end of the year. So Victor Wanyama was the club's lone DP, and so you're okay in a DP sense late in the year. So let's see if I don't think they added any DPs in the off season. CF Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see.
Then I would just assume that he'd be a DP, just because I feel like with also the caliber of Joseph too, of how he played at Atlanta, and then obviously with Miami, I would think he wouldn't settle for anything other than a DP. That's just my opinion. But again, I don't know. They could have negotiated something, and yeah. So I don't know. That's where my head's going. But again, I could be totally wrong because I'm not good with numbers or anything like that. I haven't done numbers since sophomore year.
No, the only DP currently on the roster is Wanyama. So they have DP slots, but they also have two. They have 2 U22s. So they've got U22s up and down the roster. So you've got to navigate your U22 numbers and your DPs. And so I think you can have one DP more. If I remember correctly, you can have 2 DPs if you want your 3 U22 slots. I think that's how that goes. And so right now you could have one more DP, and that's the question with Joseph. Would he be a DP or would he be high TAM? Abby obviously guessing high TAM. And yes, Atlanta United, the 17s are far classier by saying OFYO because it's an acronym, and we all know what that means down here. Joseph is going to freeze his butt off because the folks in Montreal, the city government, they're not letting him inside to do anything at Olympic Stadium. So everything's having to be outside right now, and that's why CF Montreal is coming south for training camp. Scheduling, their first 6 are on the road. First six for Montreal are on the road.
First six regular season games?
Yeah, because it's kind of cold in Montreal. Because the mentioning of Del St. Joseph's going to freeze his butt off, and they're going to try to make sure that he doesn't freeze it off as much. So
yeah, that's true. Okay.
So they start in Orlando, then they've got a week to go to Dallas, a week to go to Messi and Friends, and then that'll be interesting with Joseph heading back to DRVP and K on March 10th. Then you've got Chicago. Then you've got a week off. International window, and then you're going to DC. Wow. Then you're going to Seattle. So that is the schedule for CF Montreal before they go home, and their first home match is on the 13th of April hosting Cincinnati at Stade Saputo. So first 6 on the road for CF Montreal in their 2024 season to make sure that things are on the up and up. So that's where they are. But yeah, right now you're looking at the U22s are currently Thorkelson and Ibrahim on your active roster. So they do have some wiggle room with U22s and with DPs to figure out what direction they want to go. So
Yeah.
Maybe it ends up maybe being a DP. Yes, Alex. But if Mars is in retrograde, it's only 2.4 DPs. That is absolutely correct. And I mean, Dell doesn't quite think Montreal is going to be any good.
I mean, I'm being honest.
You look at the and now here's the roster. And once again, this is the roster currently from MLSsoccer.com. Bryce Duke in the midfield, Raheem Edwards at defense, Juan as a defender, Lapalainen in midfield, Ariel Lassiter at forward, Ofor at forward, Opoku at forward, Piet in the midfield, who'll probably come off the bench. Mason Toy will probably be another one of the forwards up top with Joseph, and then you've got Wanyama and Waterman midfield and defense. Your two of your keepers, Breza and Ketterer, are supplemental spots. George Campbell is a supplemental as a homegrown. Matthew Chouanier is a homegrown, and so you're there. But yeah, right now, currently only the one DP and Victor Wanyama and 2 U22. So you would think that this contract with Joseph is going to be something that will be something incentive based, but we will see. And Abby is saying October the 2nd against CF Montreal, major Jewish holiday, donating the tickets for a silent auction for the library gala. That's strong. That's pretty good. Did they sign Kokaro? Because I know that was being discussed. They did sign Matias Kokaro. That is true. Did sign him. He officially did get the bienvenue from Huracan in Argentina. 3-year deal, 24, 25, 26, 2 option years, 27 and 28. So Kokaro signed from Huracan. Dominic Yankov in the midfield as well. So Kokaro, so you're looking at what? Kokaro and Joseph and Mason Toy up top. So we'll see how that lays out. But yeah, Maddie, I wanted to bring you in to discuss things briefly with what we had happen in our number. Wow.
That is really loud. This happens to me every time I'm on. I apologize.
No
Ron,
worries.
do not.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened there. But press event Monday in Boston about the World Cup. We might do, just as a public service, it appears that the venue announcements are happening Sunday afternoon.
So exciting.
So we're probably going to be on. It's supposed to be at 3:00. We will probably be live just to kind of do a watch along, comment along with the venue announcements, and we'll see what happens with all of these. But so Sunday afternoon at 3:00, we'll take a peek at what's going on with World Cup venues and everything. So put it in, I would say, a little sharper than pencil. I would probably put it in maybe a pen that you can erase or cross out. But I would look at us being on a watch along to look at the venues as well and see what's going on there with 26. Okay. Thank you, Forecard. We will go here and discuss that. But what I have to do is I have to get the music right before we get into it here. So hang on just a second. Yeah, it's going to be one of those. Jarrett, good morning. Hang on just a second. And yeah, it is an oh Jesus. So hang on just a second. Yeah. From our buddy Fabrizio Romano, Joan Laporta had a press conference, and it has to do with our friends at the Super League. According to Joan Laporta, and it's nice for Europe to break news while we're actually on the air. Laporta says, quote, at his Barcelona press conference, at his FC Barcelona press conference, these clubs have already agreed to the Super League. Inter, Milan, Napoli, Roma, Marseille, Benfica, Porto, Sporting, Ajax, Feyenoord, PSV, Anderlecht, Club Brugge, and all Spanish clubs except Atletico Madrid. What in the wide world of sports is going on here? It's back and apparently stronger than ever.
Maddie, you go ahead.
No, I'm gonna let you take the reins on this.
Forecard says that Laporta is snitching. Super League is alive. What is dead may never die.
Oh my gosh. What?
Juan Laporta is a Class A snitch.
Laporta does have some Greyjoy energy about it. This is true. Holy Moses. Okay, yeah, I mean, look, when this didn't happen the first time, there was an air about, and I know everybody was like, up in arms and kind of like, shooting their guns in the air and having a good old time. Like, we killed the Super League. I mean, you killed round one. You killed the test run. And one of the things about that is when there's enough money involved in something like this, there's always going to be another attempt. The trick is whether or not they learn from it. And it appears that they learned from it. And we'll see if they took anything away from other formations of a Super League. And if one of those things of, hey, if you don't think it can hit close to home, just wait till the Blue Buds in college football decide to do it, because you think they're not taking notes on this?
Oh, brother.
Not to turn it to college football down here, but you think the Blue Bloods ain't taking notes on this? Because there's going to come a time where the Blue Bloods in college football go, hey, what if we just didn't listen to the NCAA? What if we just did our own thing? And people tuned in just to watch, the big teams. What if every week was a big game?
But I mean, this. All right, so Laporta names names, and we may as well.
Laporta's going to end up like, yeah, man. Like, what's the most absurd? What's the most random place in England or in Europe where you might be able to hide a body? That's where Laporta's going to end up.
I mean, but think about this for a second, or maybe more than that. When Joan Laporta is naming these clubs, so let's see how many, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11, 13, and I guess he got to the Sweet 16 without Atletico Madrid. I mean, but seriously, if this is in fact the Super League, and you've got a Week 3 Super League matchup of Anderlecht and Porto, that is a Week 3 Super League matchup. That ain't so super, man. That's like Europa League-ish.
It is. But I think they needed more bodies and more money, though. Like, it's easier to move out of a house when you got a bunch of buddies coming to help you move. And
True.
It's easier to get the momentum moving on this big obsidian ball of suck when you have multiple bodies pushing it, multiple income sources, and then it just turns into, how much of a Ponzi scheme can you create? How big of one can you create?
Yeah.
Because how many of these teams are like taking a huge risk jumping in there? I had, like, as you're listing off names, in my brain I was firing off like 4-1 odds that the Old Firm would be involved there, which might benefit Scotland as a whole, so that'd be fine.
True. Yeah.
But I like 4-1 that the Old Firm was going to be there. Not that either one of them are in any position to make intelligent decisions right now at any given moment. In fact, yeah, this is. Oof. It doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the same je ne sais quoi about it, like, because when it was just like 8 big super clubs, and super club is a fluid term because we think of like some of these clubs are like, that's a classical power. You know what else was a classical power? Notre Dame. You know what Notre Dame does now?
Oh no,
they lose to Navy.
I thought you were going to say the Ottoman Empire.
I mean, I was trying to make it more relatable for the people on our end of here and not Dan Carlin, but sure.
I keep thinking of that scene from Ted Lasso where they're all just in the room talking about the Super League. That is the one thing that I just think of with this. And I just want to be Rebecca and just be like, are y'all stupid?
Yeah.
Like, truly. It's true. They're learning from their mistakes and they're expanding. I mean, the teams that we even talked about of just like how, of the teams there, those are the two that are going to be kind of the game that no one's really going to watch. I mean, We don't know how much money they pour into this. I mean, hey,
Yeah, I'm
It's
looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that Ajax dumpster fire, which is insulting to dumpsters currently, going up against Club Bruges. Yeah, I'll be right on that one.
You know what would be really fun, because I don't think they have like a players union in Europe and any of these leagues. Can you imagine if they just if some of these teams go, hey, we have league play, we have, I don't know, 2 cups plus potentially European games, and now you want to like either replace some of those or add on a Super Cup. The players just damn unionize in some of these leagues. Let's just add some fun to this.
It's like, yeah, nah, bruh, not happening. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on this. We'll see if Laporta continues to snitch on anybody else as we're going.
And
I'll keep an eye on it.
I agree with Forecard. Like, the big clubs will come in due time. Like, you get this thing, like, you're push starting this thing, and you get the engine turned over a bit. Yeah, the big clubs will come in due time, I'm sure. But oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, wait. All right. I don't know if you want to play the sound.
Well,
the sounder is somewhere between a breaking news sounder and where's Nick when I need him, because
Yes.
it reminds me of the news sounder that they play in Starship Troopers after the first invasion failed, and it's just this tragic news sounder.
Well, this is what we've done is because we start on Turner time at 05. Our breaking news sounders are from the early years of Cable News Network, and so that's where we pulled them from. So I'm going to go ahead, Maddie. I'll give you this one.
Thank
All
you.
right,
This is from the same person on Twitter, Fabrizio Romano. This is nothing related to the Super League, but this was announced 2 minutes ago. This is about our dear friends over at Manchester City, involving Holland. Reports in Spain claim that Holland isn't happy with life and climate in Manchester. Pep said, "We don't have a feeling that Holland is unhappy. Maybe the media in Spain, especially Madrid, has more information than us."
Yeah, they don't muckrack or nothing, Jarrett.
Not at all. Yeah, nobody does that. Nobody's breaking out that these days. It never happens here. Never happens in Europe, in any country.
Never.
No 3-letter papers. No marca. Whatever. Nobody's just like throwing things against the wall to see if it sticks. And look, half of these articles that we get about this are about on the same par as old ESPN message boards back in the day, if you were ever so cursed to have encountered those, where people would like throw out trade ideas, like some early 2000s trade of, what we should do? We should trade we should trade like Mike Mordecai and Raphael Belliard straight up for Barry Bonds.
Yes.
That's a great trade for everybody. We're basically right there, except these actually go to print.
Yeah.
So welcome everyone.
Yes. Welcome to the version of the 3 and the 4-letter paper, Spanish style. Yeah. Reports in Spain. Yeah. They don't sit there and stir ish up ever. Yes. Fabrizio Romano is the tierest one of tier 1 sources when it comes to stuff, especially overseas. Maddie, you want to keep an eye on some stuff and see if anything else lights our fires here as we wrap up another week?
Oh, absolutely. I got you.
All right, so we'll catch up with Maddie before the end of the show because we got to talk about Premier League before she does her section of Prem and Proper. So Maddie will be back in a bit. Jarrett, I finally found the sound or the quotes that I was looking for. We were discussing in hour number 1 the Messi and Friends tour and stop number 2 yesterday. That was a 6-0 whitewashing. And Aymeric Laporte, speaking of Manchester City, launching one from his half, getting Drake Callender off his line, made it 3, should have been 4. Messi and Friends almost scored with Luis Suarez, but they didn't. Lose 6-0. And then after the match, you know how we always have players that give that are the ones that are anointed in losing situations. It's like, okay, so you're going to be the one that sits there and talks to the media today. So after the match yesterday, Julian Gressel was the one in front of the microphone. And Fabian Renkel. Julian Gressel confirms that Lionel Messi picked up a knock during the match against Al Hilal and informed the media that Messi attempted to complete training the day before the Al Nassr match. Gressel also informed the media that Messi felt he could play today. Gressel stated that it's only preseason for Inter Miami, so they didn't want to risk aggravating the injury. It's good to know that Julian Gressel has now turned into Dr. James Andrews and gives postseason talks.
I mean, yeah, I guess he was the one who got stuck to talk to the media about it.
Yeah. But
all things considered, it was a really bad showing.
Yeah, it was
horrendous. All things
horrendous.
considered, it was really embarrassing. Like, cut it however you want.
Yeah.
And it's preseason. Again, preseason you only take so seriously. But it's when it's Miami going on these tours, I mean, you hope for a better showing than that.
Yes. So the idea, yes, please don't lose by 6. Let's see. Caleb Wiley training with Atlanta United this morning. Gregerson is not in training, according to Doug Robertson of the AJC. He says it's load management, and completely understandable considering that he's still trying to get acclimated to things with Atlanta United and trying to figure out what's going on from his time at Bordeaux, where he was in full league play. Remember how things were with Gigi when he was brought in last year as well. A couple of other news and notes. Jonathan Tannenwald, Union, and Alejandro Bedoya finally agreed to a new 1-year deal. And there we go. They're okay. The Polish hammer, Bart Sliech, has his visa. So we've got that. He's training with Atlanta United today. And Edwin Mosqueda is out doing individual work this morning. So decent pieces of news coming up with Atlanta United. Like I said, I know that we're discussing Atlanta United in the preseason, but I'm going to put it out there for everybody, Twitch, Pitch, and otherwise. With this match coming up against Memphis 901, Jarrett, what are you hunting for?
Sorry, you cut out on me. What was that?
Sorry, with the match coming up with Memphis 901, what specifically are you hunting for in this one?
Fringe players. How do fringe guys do who are not even necessarily fringe on the roster, but like we got decisions to make about guys to play on the wings, how guys fit into the midfield, that kind of thing. And then academy kids. Again, it's preseason. Like we know what the key guys can do. We know what Yorgos can do. We know what Thiago's capable of. I believe he's still with Argentina, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like we know what like the big names can do. How do keepers look? How do fringe guys look who are trying to make hay? Yeah. It could be interesting,
Well, and to the flip side, since we always like to sit there and catch up and see our friend Stephen Glass, what does Memphis 901 look like, considering that they've brought in practically every resource known to mankind to help things out, including Nico Brett this year?
They had to load up. Look at the East. I mean, Dell's sitting here, as well, and Dell is Charleston affiliated. Look, that's a Charleston team that damn near won USL last year.
Mm-hmm.
Lost in a shootout. They got better. Clubs got to get – a lot of the clubs in the East got better. The East could be an absolute pain in the ass to deal with. Memphis had to get better. Laurent Kissiedu has been sold to Europe as well.
Yeah.
They had to get better in certain areas. And then you're hoping for health, and you're hoping to see some of Nye Pickering, who scored against Atlanta in the Open Cup last year, who's a very exciting young player. You want to see what year 2 looks like when putting those pieces in place. And again, above all else, you want to see health. You want to make sure everybody comes out of this in one piece with all of their limbs still attached.
Yep. Abby says 2 45-minute halves, 2 teams, some other subs every so often. So Memphis 901, just to give you a bit of a quick LaRousse on them. Defenders, a couple of names that you would remember for those of you that follow USL Championship. Carson Von Steeg is a vet there. Lucas Tercy, Akeem O'Connor Ward, Oscar, who we know from – Oscar comes over from Lou City, so we know how much of a pain he's been in USL Championship. In the midfield, Emerson Heineman, so it'll be a bit of a homecoming for Emo. Cariaga, Zach Duncan, Luis Fernando is still a part of it. Bruno Lapa, Les Paul. I mean, seriously. For a team in Memphis to have a player named Les Paul, how much more perfect can you be to have a player named Les Paul as one of your players. Tyler Jarrett comes over from RGV, who's no longer with us. May your God rest their souls. Aaron Seeger is the other keeper, and up forward, it is, the biggest name obviously is Nico Brett, but Nico Brett, Marlon Santos, Noe Meza coming from USL League One. That's an underrated pickup. You'd mentioned Nita Pickering and Dylan Borzak. The forward, Glassy, I think at times could just as easily trot out 4 forwards and just go, all gas, no brakes. But Nico Brett, Marlon Santos, Noe Meza, Nita Pickering at forward. That's crazy.
And this is one where you go back to the Birmingham connections that we built up over time and that we discussed last week. Marlon Santos is a really interesting one for me, just because watching him last year, he is so creative on the ball, but it was kind of hit and miss at times. But when he was on, he was unplayable. Like he was just he's just picking up. He's forcing yellow cards left and right because he's just demolishing people. And you look for some consistency there, and you bring in a mix of veterans and young players, and continue to try and develop young players coming through that Memphis system. So it doesn't hurt that you have Stephen Glass's experience with the last 2 clubs he was with in Atlanta and Aberdeen. Both put a heavy emphasis on their academies, so you imagine that he's also going to be looking at players coming through the young areas of Memphis as well. I don't know what Memphis's youth structure looks like, to be honest. I don't know, if they have anything fun and exciting coming on the line. We know Pickering is a thing, but man, they should be a fun team in the East this year. And the East itself should be fun. And look, Memphis is going to play at times a high wire act in the sense that they want the ball, they want to score a lot. They're going to put their defenders in tight situations, not unlike Atlanta, where they're going to say, hey, we're going to be getting bodies forward, so we're going to need you to defend, some tricky situations sometimes. It just kind of comes with the territory of trying to rack up goals. And it's a matter of, can they get everything to sync up this year? Because they started the year slowly last year, but then the middle of the season, they went on a 7 or 8 game winning streak. I think it was right. They started doing well right before they played Atlanta in the Open Cup, and then rattled off a ton of wins in a row before losing to Birmingham in the Open Cup, which was a weird game because that was the best game Birmingham played for 2 months. Then Birmingham went back to just turning into their Jekyll and Hyde self. But Memphis had these stretches last year where you're like, oh, when this clicks, it's terrifying. But they need to have consistency as they continue to develop this year. But again, it's going to be tough because you will always have the absolute hell that is Bob Lilly in Pittsburgh. And now you have what Pierman has built in Charleston that is, you imagine, only going to get better. The East is just going to be a rock fight.
Yes.
Have fun, everyone.
Yes, exactly. Maddie's been on the ones and twos posting a couple of funny moments. Apparently, Jurgen Klopp interrupted his press conference at Liverpool today because his dentist was calling. And literally, phone was not on silent. Phone went off in the presser and told everybody it was his dentist. And so that is posted. And Arturo Vidal has returned to Colo-Colo. And it's the first time in 17 years he's back. So what does Colo-Colo do to welcome Arturo Vidal back? They put him as a knight on horseback with a sword in front of 30,000 folks. Welcome back, Arturo Vidal. How do you want to have your entrance? Can I ride a horse? Sure.
It's an Old Spice commercial.
It is.
That's what they did. It's amazing.
And he also got to they brought him in a helicopter.
Uh-huh.
And
again, this is an Old Spice commercial.
Yep.
They brought him. This is a Mustafa Ali commercial. They brought him. They brought him in on a helicopter. He got off the helicopter. He got on the horse, rode around the horse with a sword and a crown, like he was out of the movie Troy. Basically, it's just 10 out of 10. No notes.
Well, and at the same time, after all of that, and they got rid of the sword and the horse and everything, he got to shoot the T-shirt cannon.
That's always fun. Just make sure the pressure's not turned up too much. Separate somebody's shoulder with a rolled-up Colo-Colo T-shirt.
Yes. It's the T-shirt cannon from Arturo Vidal. Didn't get the chance to catch up with you in hour number one. Joseph to Montreal. What do you think?
He's going to be splitting time with Mason Toy.
Yeah.
Just depends. It depends on what kind of service he's able to get and how much he's able to give you. The question is always going to remain with Joseph. What kind of service can he get? How much can he run? How much can he give you in terms of movement off the ball? Because there were flashes of that in Miami where it was really, really good, and you're like, oh, that's those flashes of what he can do. It's just you got to. He still can float around the box and be an absolute menace because he still has those movements when he's in the box to create gravity and to lose defenders without not even you watch some of the stuff he's done. It's not even like he makes these darting insane runs. He just kind of floats counter to the way a defender's brain works. They go left, he goes right. And he's going to find space, and we know he is one of the most lethal finishers. It's just a matter of if they're not in a situation where they're controlling the game, can he be quick and not only quick but fast enough to really impact the game, running hard on the counter? And it's not a matter of does he want to run hard? I just don't know how his knee, as we've moved past, and we're moving years past recovery now at this point. Can he be more than a guy who can come in, split time, starting some, coming off the bench other times, and put up 8 to 10 goals? You got to be fine. He's still going to go down as the greatest what if that this league has seen, probably.
Yeah.
Because if you extrapolate his numbers out from when he blows his knee on that trash ass turf in Nashville, if you even conservatively push out his numbers year over year, he'd be breathing down the neck of Wando's record now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were talking about a guy who was on Barry Bonds pace.
Yeah.
In terms of hey, he's going to set a record. Who's going to break it? That's a great question because I don't know who. It looked like that kind of situation. It's just a jarring what if, and it is always going to suck. Even though we talk about he's still playing. Don't mean to talk about him like he's dead, but it's a jarring what if with his entire career, and it sucks that that's a thing. But the short answer is he's going to split time with Mason Toye. Let's see how Memphis looks. Let's see what sort of service they can give him. But he stays in MLS, so you get to see him again.
Yeah.
The roof will collapse at Mercedes-Benz again when he comes in to visit, because you can't ever forget what he did, nor should you.
No. In 134 appearances with Atlanta United, 98 goals, 7 with Inter Miami, and 27 appearances with Messi and friends. And so, right now you're at 105, and it's reminiscent of like Ken Griffey Jr. for me. If
that's a good one before the injuries hit.
Yep. And, Ken Griffey Jr. comes back after the injuries, and you wonder what the pacing would have been for him if he had been healthy. And so that for me is going to be the analogy that will always stick with me. Ken Griffey Jr. would have been a part of the discussion in chasing after Hank Aaron and those kinds of records. But, injuries and what have you. And damn you, Immaculate Grid, for screwing me up this morning because as I play in the morning, it didn't go very well.
Griffey ended with 630 home runs.
Yeah.
And had those just slew of injury-ridden seasons. To his benefit, I mean, he was also doing it at the Great American Launching Pad part of it at the Great American Launching Pad when he went to Cincinnati. Dude hit 630 home runs and had half of his 30s were just wrecked with injuries.
Yeah.
I don't think it's very difficult to think he would have passed 755.
Yeah. In 2001, he plays 111 games and hits 22 homers. 2002, only plays in half the season, hits 8. 2003, plays in 53 games in Cincinnati, hits 13. plays in half the season in 2004 at the age of 34, hits 20. Then gets back to being healthy in 2005 at 35, hit 27. 2006, 27. 2007, 30. 2008, he finishes with 18 home runs in 143 games, and then he goes back to Seattle for 2009 and hits 19, and then in 33 games in 2010 doesn't hit a home run, and then you knew that was it when he hit 184. So if you take out that midsection in 02, 03, and 04 and just add decent numbers to Ken Griffey Jr., you push all of his numbers up to 30, that's what, 10, 30, 40 home runs, you're at 670. So, I mean, you're chasing it. You're chasing it at that point. You know, the half season he had in 95 when he was injured, where he had 17, you could, add there. So he's chasing those numbers for me. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Also could have benefited from an era of full-time DHs in the National League that we have now.
Yes, absolutely true. David and Abby with some public service announcements here. Enter Atlanta at Arizona Avenue Tuesday, a women in sports event at 5 o'clock. And David doing his Lord's work, your Lord's work tomorrow. National Ice Cream for Breakfast Day. That is stuff that we need to know about. Once again, don't forget the game with Atlanta United Memphis 901s being simulcast ATLUTD.com and the social media channels for Atlanta United. It's going to go from 3 until 5, from 6 to 8. It's going to be at Creature Comforts in Athens. Maddie will be there. I will be there. Jason will be there. And Tyler Pilgrim, I know, is going to be there. So it'll be a cast of thousands, including Tyler from Dirty South SOC. And we'll discuss what we saw with Atlanta United, Memphis 901. We'll discuss that. Then they head to Tampa for two matches. Jason will be down there for those on the 7th and the 10th. We start our high school schedule on Tuesday. The high school schedule starts on Tuesday. Tuesday night throwdown presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Starts with Peachtree, Ridge, and Parkview. Maddie and I will be at the Big Orange Jungle for that one. And I will be calling one of the games. Maddie will be calling the other. And so I think the way that this is going to work, since Maddie is going to be calling the girls' game for Roswell and River Ridge on Friday, she's going to call the boys' game. So I'm calling the girls' game for Peachtree Ridge and Parkview. Big ups to Nick Gass, the AD, and the Big Orange Jungle, and Maddie's going to be calling the boys' game. Keep an eye out on social. It'll all be on the network. It'll be on the web. So Peachtree Ridge and Parkview kicks off our high school soccer season February 6th. Next Friday, week from today, it's Roswell at River Ridge for the doubleheader with Maddie calling girls and I'm calling boys, Roswell and River Ridge. That kicks off our high school season. Looking forward to another great year as we are locking up dates, locking up teams, and looking forward to another high school season. And maybe some other news with some other things as we continue to go forward, and some really cool stuff as well. Abby also with a PSA. National Girls and Women's Sports Day at Inter Atlanta. Pick up soccer with GSU and Agnes Scott women's soccer team. Celebrity panel discussion pizza from La Calavera. Open, not limited to Inter Atlanta players and family, and she's got a RISVIP. And so that is in the Twitch pitch. So, Abby, if you could post that in the Discord, then that would be awesome. So that is going to be very, very cool to be a part of all of that. Abby, I know I don't know if they're doing radio for the games in Florida yet. She's wondering if the games, Ropes, the games will be streamed. You want to do, Abby, you want to do general? Just so everybody sees it? Whatever gets the most eyes, I will defer to you. I don't know if they're doing radio for the games in Florida. I know that Jason is going down for one of them, and Mike is joining him for the other. So I would say, I know they're streaming both the matches in Tampa, ATLUTD.com social media channels. They are not doing the one DRVP and K against Sporting Kansas City, since that's the last match before the regular season. That one is truly closed door. And we will just be left guessing as to what happens with Atlanta and Sporting Kansas City. Yeah, the Miami match, the Miami match in Sporting, no stream, no nothing, because it's closed door and not happening. So the two matches in Tampa on the 7th and the 10th will be your last two chances to see Atlanta United, ATLUTD.com. I know, I want to see Sporting Kansas City too. ATLUTD.com, social media channels for the match this weekend with Mike and Jason and Memphis 901, and for Jason and Mike for the 2 games in Tampa on the 7th and the 10th. Closed door, but they will be streamed. And like I said, Jason will be down there for the first one, and that's why the Lunatics are running the high school asylum with me and Maddie and Jarrett and everybody else with our first 2 games, first 2 doubleheaders on the high school schedule, once again brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Trying to see. Oh, I don't know if Jarrett. I don't know if you saw this, and it was over on World Soccer Talk, and it was an intriguing story, and it talks about the financials of the day, and if things go a certain way, and it ain't in a good way, one of the big names in Bundesliga circles could be in serious financial trouble if things don't go their way when it comes to how things are currently in their B League. And it was a discussion about Schalke. And if Schalke, who is right now in the 2nd Bundesliga, if they are relegated again, it appears that their financials would not be able to support them going forward, and that they might have to fold. They could go out of business if they're relegated this year. This is from Chris Moore at World Soccer Talk. Currently in the 2nd tier, they are out of the relegation zone, but they're even on points, and the only thing that's keeping them out of the relegation discussion is goal difference right now. Sky Germany is reporting so that Schalke would be unable to handle the financial consequences if it suffers relegation to the 3rd division. The club's license for the 3rd league would be impossible due to their extreme debt. Means that players and coaches have to do everything possible to save the team in the coming months. One of the more successful German clubs, obviously, only 3 other teams have more Bundesliga titles: Bayern, Dortmund, and Nuremberg. They've collected the 3rd most DFB Pokals. That's their country cup, premier domestic tournament. They've been a Bundesliga mainstay in recent memory. Europa League title 97, collected the cup by winning there, and they got their most recent Pokal back about a decade ago. But they've never fully recovered from COVID-19, according to Chris Moore. Global shutdown exacerbated their financial issues. Team officials publicly claimed at the time the club was facing possible bankruptcy. Schalke did initially survive Bundesliga relegation during 1920, finished at the bottom the following year. They've racked up significant debt. The total financial obligations are around $179 million, and the club may not even be worth that amount, especially if they're relegated. So got to keep an eye on that. They next faced Eintracht Braunschweig on Saturday. 15 games left in the season, but one of the big dogs could be in serious trouble. One of the stories that we're staring at going forward.
And it's weird to think about, but that's something that has to be considered with all these clubs, is that this is the kind of thing that can happen. It's one of those things where, like, if Bernd was around, bug him on it, and pick his brain on it, because he knows Germany better than we do. But yeah, man, it's it sucks when that happens, though. And to any club, the idea of any of them folding, and then you imagine they'll come back in a different form.
Yeah.
It feels like they always do, at least in some way, shape, or form. Something like, so rarely do we see a club cease to exist, truly, like, get snapped out of existence.
Yeah. Yeah. And Tom, you and I both remember Soccer Made in Germany. It was on PBS. Literally, it was on GPTV. Soccer Made in Germany was on GPTV, and that's how long ago this was. And you got to learn about Karl-Heinz Rummenigge and Borussia Mönchengladbach and all those teams. Soccer Made in Germany was on GPTV down here in Georgia, and that was my first exposure to the World Game. And so, yes, absolutely remember Schalke in the early days. Obviously, 15 minutes to go. We'll let you know, rumor mill, anything else about what's going forward, deals that have been processed. Jarrett Ethan Horvath has a new home. It's Cardiff, and true to form, Nottingham Forest decided that they wanted to bring in another keeper. They brought in Mats Sells for about $5 million. And it looks like Matt Turner is going to be having some competition. So Nottingham Forest, who's not really in a position to sit there and be with the sustainability rules, profit and sustainability rules right now. Sure, let's throw more money at the problem. I think they jettisoned 10 players in the window and brought in 3, so I don't know how much that helps them. But, yeah, Matt Turner's going to be getting some competition now in a relegation fight in between the sticks at Nottingham Forest.
It's still very weird that, like, Matt Turner left with all the expectation of the world, and now it's just kind of like, yeah. It's one of those risks where we're like, oh, well, one of our players has been linked to a super club. And then what happened? Well, then he went to Nottingham Forest. And then what happened? Well, it's kind of stalled out. Yeah. Oh, well. But he got out of that dreaded MLS, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did. Yeah. Yep. Petrovic, he's with Chelsea. He got out of the dreaded MLS. And all that stuff that's been going down. And I know that when you're at the bottom of the table and you're concerned about your place in life, sometimes you just want to lash out. And strangely enough, if you're Chris Wilder and you're mad and you're at the bottom of the table, you're going to yell at the officials. Chris Wilder, after losing Tuesday to Crystal Palace 3-2 in a crazy one, he has now said it was time to speak out on behalf of the club about a perceived bias against them from match day officials. He described referee Tony Harrington's performance as ridiculous, and that he would be speaking. I'm speaking to the PGMOL about it. I'm mad. Literally, it seems like you're stomping your feet in a corner. He's getting ready for Aston Villa. We'll go through your juice boxes coming up in just a bit. Too many decisions go against his side, he says. Quote, I'm not confident I'll get anything back that will change my opinion of how things are. I'm not looking back over the last 10 games. It's over a longer period before I was here as well. It's the in-game decisions, the soft fouls go against us. It's an easy one. Maybe the thought process and the outlook is that they, meaning Sheffield United, won't be long in this division, and I might be refereeing the other team next year, so I don't want to upset too many people. Wilder said his feelings were shared by his coaching staff. They better. Quote, I wouldn't be saying it if I didn't think it was right. The majority of Sheffield United supporters will feel the same as well. I'm not just speaking on behalf of myself. I'm speaking on behalf of the players. More importantly, I'm speaking on behalf of the football club. Benefited from 2 decisions in their draw against West Ham, but Wilder said, quote, what about the other things that have gone the other way? There's more things that have not gone our way, and the general refereeing as well. I was told about this coming into the division that get ready, all the slight decisions, all the easy decisions will go against you. It's had that feel, and that's the disappointing thing. So Chris Wilder, if they're leaving the Premier League, he's going out with all guns blazing. He's just going to go ahead and fire off against the officials. That's really not the way to go about things if you're trying to stay afloat in the league, I would think. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It costs you nothing to be quiet.
True. It does. Current table, by the way. Sheffield United is 9 points from safety. They've only won 2 of 22. They've given up 54 goals in 22 matches. They've only scored 19. They've only have 2 points in their last 5 matches, by the way. And Burnley is 2 points ahead of them. But Burnley has scored more and given up less. Everton, with their 10-point deduction, is now in the relegation zone. And Luton, having won 3 of their last 6. They are out of the relegation zone. Forest is at 20 points. I still think it's a handful of teams for that 3rd spot. Right now, I think it's Sheffield United, Burnley, and then the other 4. Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, who's lost 6 of 7. Forest at 20 points, Luton at 19, Everton at 18. Crystal Palace outside chance of falling into that mess at 24 points. Prem and Proper, once again, will be up later in the day. Jarrett, what is your weekend going to be like, sir?
So mine involves getting up tomorrow morning and driving to Athens, and I'll be at the game, working the game differently than the rest of you. The rest of you civilized people, I'll actually be on the sticks.
Okay.
Shooting the game. So
are you coming to Creature Conference after?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because
I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to show up.
Oh, okay. Well, then just
But
show up because
yes.
I finally get to give you your Davy Award for 2020.
Oh, lovely. But I'll be at the game. Just busy.
Yes. Jarrett will be working.
So the Discord will have a field day with that because I spend a lot of time in there complaining about the bad production values in sporting events, and now I have to do production values on a sporting event. And yes, John, the Derby is Sunday. The Wawa Derby is Sunday for Sheffield Saturday, Sheffield Sunday over at Limburg.
Wow.
We actually were supposed to start the year with the Derby this year, but Sunday had a bunch of absences, and instead of taking a forfeit, we wanted to play it, so we just rescheduled it for the end of the season.
There you go.
This is not for the title by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay. Before you go, and so Creature Comfort 6 to 8, once again, Creature Comfort's Brewing, and it'll be a cast of thousands hanging out and talking about what's going on with Atlanta United. All right. The story that Joan Laporta decided to bless us with in hour number 2, we are starting to get reactions. I feel like Hacksaw Hamilton. Reaction! So we'll do this. We're now having teams responding to Joan Laporta. Roma publicly deny they want to be in the Super League. As stated publicly a few hours after the European Court of Justice's decision on the Super League case, AS Roma reiterates that it does not support any project related to the so-called Super League. The club also states that it has never changed its position on the matter, nor has it entered into any discussions about taking a different path other than clubs working together through the ECA in strong partnership and collaboration with UEFA and FIFA. So is Joan Laporta being a snitch and naming names and just naming stuff? He's just throwing stuff. Look, right now, Joan Laporta is giving me the impression he's just throwing spaghetti against the wall in art class. Am I wrong here?
No. Sorry.
You're working, I know.
No, it's not. No, it's Alex.
Oh, embargo on.
This is. Yeah, a bunch of these people are well, we don't want a Super League. We would never do something like that. No, why would you accuse us of that?
Why?
And just sitting there cutting daggers out the corner of their eyes. Why would you say these things out loud?
Yes.
But Laporta saw a microphone and decided he had to talk. So.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, we will see you on Saturday working, and then we'll see you at Creature Comforts, and you're just going to surprise everybody by walking in the door.
Well, I mean, it's not a surprise anymore.
Well,
unless they aren't listening.
Exactly. So
okay, we'll see.
Yeah. So we might see somebody. We might see a lot of folks at Creature Comforts, including yourself. So Jarrett, we'll see you. We'll see you in various forms. For those of you in Athens, we'll see you working the match, and we might see you doing other things as well. Be good.
All right. You too.
All right. That's Jarrett. All right. So we'll bring in Maddie to close, and we'll go through a couple of different things here. Maddie, Prem and Proper coming up later today. And are you getting your venting vocal cords ready to discuss things?
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if I bring them out today.
Okay.
I feel kind of okay. A little bit.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Just checking.
I'm nervous though.
Understood. Get that. I'm down. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch on TV, and we'll go through juice boxes before we go.
Absolutely.
Karim Benzema was linked to a move away from the Middle East, but he's going to clear the air talks with his club in the league that we neither condone, endorse, or promote. And they want him to stay for another year because they're paying him like £239 million.
Oh, geez.
That's from our buddy Ben Jacobs. Villa's Callum Chambers rejected offers from 3 championship teams, despite the Midlands club being open to let him go. West Brom among the clubs to inquire about signing Chambers. That's from the 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Everton winger Ademola Lookman being targeted by Atletico Madrid and Juve, who could make a move for him. Currently plays for Atalanta. That could be in the summer. That's the 3-letter paper. We mentioned all of the shenanigans going on with Lyon and West Ham, and that looks like that's going to happen with Saeed Benrahma. Lewis Hamilton has hinted he could join forces with Sir Jim Ratcliffe at Manchester United once the curtain closes on their partnership with Mercedes, who are part-owned by Ineos. Arsenal could give Albert Sambi Lokonga a second chance after his positive performances on loan at Luton. Brian Heel has been linked with a loan move, has decided to stay at Spurs. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Stefano Sensi's loan move from Inter to Leicester City fell through despite him passing a medicals. The clubs couldn't agree to terms. All right, so juice boxes coming up for the weekend in the Premier League, and it's a full weekend of schedule compression. I feel like we need the Price is Right music at that point. Premier League stuff going on, and it is 5 tomorrow, 4 on Sunday, and Monday Night Football is Brentford hosting Manchester City at the G-Tech. So we'll play this like cliffhanger, and the Price is Right. We'll go cliffhanger rules. If there's a game that you want to talk about briefly, then you yell stop, and we'll talk about it. Tomorrow morning, the early match, Spurs at Everton. Spurs are a plus 131. Everton at Goodison Park is a plus 200. Your draw is a plus 272. Your 10 o'clocks. Brighton at a minus 135 hosting Crystal Palace, who's a plus 372. Your draw is north of plus 300. Burnley hosting Fulham at Turf Moor. Burnley's a plus 195. Fulham a plus 148. Draws a plus 240. Newcastle hosting Luton Town at a minus 244. The other 10 o'clock match. Luton's a plus 637 coming in. Your draw is a plus 418. Are you yelling stop, or do you want me to keep going?
I'm not yelling stop because basically my whole shtick on it is that theoretically, we just won against Villa. We should theoretically win this match. It's at home. Luton is 17th in the standings. We should win.
They should.
Will we? I don't know. I have a hot and cold relationship with this team right now.
I'm shocked.
Well, thank you. We go in. I'll go in and I feel really confident, and then we lose. And so I'm thinking my mentality is if I go in thinking we're gonna lose, then I'll be pleasantly surprised.
Okay. So undersell. I got it.
Exactly. So I think this is where I'm going with it, and that's where we're just gonna stick with it.
All right.
I hope.
All right. Late game on Saturday is you can listen to it on the way up to Athens for those of you that have tickets. It is Sheffield United at Bramall Lane hosting Aston Villa at a plus 411. Villa on the road is a minus 154, and your draw is a plus 330. Sunday, 4 matches, 9 o'clock. Bournemouth at the Vitality hosting Forest at a minus 139. Your draw is a plus 363. Chelsea at a minus 164. It looks like they 9 o'clock Eastern time. Chelsea hosting Wolves at Stamford Bridge at a minus 164. Wolves are a plus 450. Your draw is a plus 332. Go.
I think Chelsea and Wolves is going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch that one, just because they're both kind of fighting for that little slot. They're right underneath each other in the standings. I think that one is going to be a lot of fun to watch, especially with how Wolves played yesterday. Obviously, I mean, with that crazy game that happened against Man United, that was nuts. I'm excited to see where that game falls. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm going to definitely be tuning into that one.
Understandable with that one. And Manchester United hosting West Ham. That one is something that hopefully Drew will be able to perhaps have a comment or two about. Manchester United, after the 7-goal madness, minus 154 at home, hosting West Ham at a plus 407. Draws a plus 329. Match of the weekend, Arsenal and Liverpool and Arsenal's a plus 125 at home. Liverpool on the road, a plus 210. Your draw's a plus 270. Interesting one there with Arsenal at the top of the table. And then Monday Night Football at the G-Tech, we mentioned Brentford at home hosting Manchester City. Manchester City a minus 233. Draws a plus 400. And Brentford is a plus 620. Dell says that obviously they couldn't bring in another striker because after Martial, because of FFP. Abby, thanks again, as always. Keep an eye out on websites associated with the Marshall Islands. You might see something this weekend. We call that a tease in the business. So, yeah, Manchester United could not bring in another striker after Martial because of FFP. And so Brentford, big underdog at home in Manchester City. And yes, Dell, I do have Haaland on my fantasy team. I've had him stashed the whole time. And literally trying to pick up I made some defensive adjustments because of what it looks like. But, yeah, I've got my front line is Haaland, Julian Alvarez, and Ollie Watkins, Jarrett Bowen, Phil Foden, Gordon going up against Luton, and Douglas Luiz are my midfield. Right now, my defending three is White, Zinchenko, and Virgil van Dijk going all against each other. I've got Tarkowski going up against Spurs on the bench, Kieran Trippier going up against Luton on the bench, and my keeper is Bernd Leno going up against Burnley. So that's my lineup. I've captained Haaland going up against Brentford, and I've got Phil Foden as my vice captain, which means I get like 1.5 points. So I've had him I had him stashed the whole time, and I was fiddling with since it's a cap league, trying to figure out, okay, how can I stash him and still navigate what's going on? I had to figure out AFCON. I had to figure out Asian Cup. So I had Yeon-min Son, but I had to get rid of him because of Asian Cup. But I stashed Chen from Wolves because he was cheap at 5.6. So I kind of stashed him the whole time and just went with, see, this is what we go through on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We talked Premier League fantasy and how traditionally I end up like in the top 30% in the world on the Premier League website. Right now I am top 35%, 4.2 million out of 10.6 million. So I'm not doing too bad.
I vote that next season we should do a Premier League fantasy league with all of us plus the Twitch pitch. I think it could be.
I think, yeah, I'm down with that. Dell's lineup: Saliba, Alexander-Arnold, Estupinian, Foden, Palmer, Bowen, Saka, Solanke, Watkins, and Tony. So Dell is in for the fantasy. Okay. Dell's in for the fantasy league for next year. So we got to come up with our own league and figure out how to.
I know we got to figure that out. I'll come up with a fun name.
Yes, that is definitely part and parcel to it. What to watch today? Because obviously tomorrow everybody's going to be watching Atlanta United, Memphis 901. On the stream. So what to watch and where to watch it before we go. Soccer on TV. Thank you very much. It's good to know that they actually triggered my account and let it work. AFCON quarterfinals coming up at noon. Nigeria, Angola. Remember, in AFCON, the top 5 ranked teams on the continent of Africa are not in the quarterfinals. All gone. Nigeria, Angola at noon on BN. Ligue 1 at 3 o'clock, Strasbourg and PSG. You can watch on a BN. If you don't have BN, you can get it at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps out the network, helps out Fanatis. Jason got me addicted to Fanatis. I blame him. French D1 Arkema at 3 o'clock, Fleury and PSG on CBS Sports Network. FS2, Argentina and Uruguay. So you get your Thiago Almada tonight at 6 on FS2, Argentina, Uruguay at 6. CONCACAF U17 Women's Championship, Panama and USA. That's at 1 o'clock, so watch the U17s at 1 on FS2. Being in Espanol, simulcasting all the events we just talked about. ESPN Deportes, Athletic Club and Mallorca at 3. 2 to NA at 10 o'clock, Puebla and Mazatlan. BN Sports Connect has the other quarterfinal, Congo and Guinea, not Equatorial Guinea, but Guinea. Guinea upset Equatorial Guinea 1-0 in the previous round. The Plus has La Liga, Bundesliga at 3, Championship at 3, Bristol City and Leeds. Fox Soccer Plus has Canada, Puerto Rico in the U17s, and they also have Chile, Paraguay on the Olympic qualifying. Golazo Network has the tail end. You can catch the tail end of the first half of Australia, South Korea. Watch the rest of it. Serie A at 2:45. Same on Paramount Plus. That is on Golazo Network. That is the week. Maddie, what's on your mind before we go?
Ooh, I'm excited for this weekend. It's going to be fun getting to do another live show at Creature Comforts. I'm excited to be back in downtown Athens. I love that place. It's so fun. Go Dogs. Go Dogs. How about them dogs?
Yes.
It's going to be great. I may or may not bring out the chant for Georgia in the middle of the live show. Just saying. It may or may not happen. I just want you to be prepared.
I don't think folks will mind.
I don't think so either. I'm gonna rally the troops. It'll be fun.
Yeah, get everybody all fired up after the match. That's 6 to 8. We'll be there, hanging out with you, and hanging out with everybody that makes it. So you get the match at 3, ATLUTD.com, or if you're there, one of the fortunate 4,500. I think that's what capacity is. Then come over to Creature Comforts, hang out with us, partake, and party, and come and hang out before Jason and the team heads to Tampa for the matches on the 7th and the 10th, and we start our high school schedule coming up next week as well. So that's another week of SDH. It's been fun. Great to have Michael Parkhurst on. Great to have Jarrett on. Great, as always, Maddie Cruz on the 1s and 2s to make sure that we're all being honest and not missing anything in the storylines. Do not be surprised if Joan Laporta loses his voice very, very soon after what happened this morning with his discussions about the Super League, where now teams are denying that they're interested. Why are you talking? Why are you talking about us and you didn't talk to us first? That's what's going on right now with Joan Laporta. He's naming names, and he's probably pissing people off. So for Manny, for Jarrett, for Nick, for all the guests this week, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us here on another round of SDH. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha plot to y'all. Since it's the end of the show, that means that I get to do this. We'll be back at it again for SDH, 9:05 Monday morning. But we will be in Athens on tomorrow. So we'll see you then. Bye.